In the heart of a vast desert kingdom stood Babylon, mighty, glittering, and ruled by a king whose word was law and whose pride reached the heavens. The streets bustled with merchants and soldiers, and golden idols shimmered in the sun. Among the thousands living in this grand city were 4 young boys, taken from their homeland, but strong in courage and faith. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Though still young, their wisdom was greater than their years, and their devotion to God was unbreakable. They studied, they worked, they served with excellence, and because of their integrity, they rose to places of honor in the kingdom. Yet despite their new positions, one thing never changed. They served only one God. But soon, that loyalty would be tested in a way none of them could have imagined. One day, King Nebuchadnezzar commanded something that startled the entire empire. A statue, 90 feet high, made of pure gold, towering like a mountain, was raised upon the plains of Dura. The king declared, "When the music plays, all people of every nation, language, and tribe must fall down and worship the golden image I have made." And so the day arrived. Musicians gathered with horns, harps, and trumpets. The crowd stretched as far as the eye could see. The desert wind carried the murmurs of tens of thousands. The music began. Like waves falling to the earth, the people bowed, all except 4, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Daniel, 4 boys standing tall. They did not tremble, they did not hide, they did not bow. Whispers rose through the crowd like sparks. "Look, they refuse! Those Hebrew boys!" Their defiance spread like fire in dry grass, until it reached the ears of the king. The boys were dragged to the palace past marble pillars and burning torches, and brought before Nebuchadnezzar himself. His eyes blazed with anger, yet beneath the fury was disbelief. "You 4," he said, "is it true that you refuse to worship my statue? I will give you one more chance. When the music plays, bow. But if you do not, you will be thrown into the furnace. And what God will be able to rescue you then?" The room fell silent, and the boys spoke, calmly, boldly, with voices steady as stone. "O king, we do not need to defend ourselves before you. If we are thrown into the fire, the God we serve is able to save us. But even if he does not, we will not bow." The king's face twisted with fury. His pride, wounded before the entire court, erupted into rage. "Heat the furnace 7 times hotter," he roared. "Bind them, throw them in." And so the order was sealed. Guards stormed forward, seizing the boys with thick ropes. The air grew hotter as they were dragged toward the furnace, a monstrous structure breathing fire like a living beast. The crowd gathered at a distance. Mothers covered their children's eyes. Soldiers turned away from the blazing heat. Yet the 4 boys walked with a strange peace. No fear, no hesitation. They whispered prayers under their breath, trusting the God who had never abandoned them. As they reached the furnace's maw, the heat grew so violent that even the soldiers holding them began to weaken. But the procession continued. They were brought to the edge. Daniel was separated, kept back by royal decree, but his eyes followed his brothers with a heart torn between agony and faith. Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego. They looked at one another. Not one tear fell, and with a final push, they were cast into the flames. The boys fell into a world of roaring heat and swirling flames. Fire twisted around them in bright ribbons, and the furnace roared like thunder. The heat should have devoured them instantly, but something else happened. The ropes binding them melted like wax, but their skin untouched, their hair unburned, their clothes unscorched. And then a presence appeared. A 4th figure, radiant and powerful, stepped into the fire with them. His form shone like lightning, yet gentle as the evening sky. He walked beside them, between them among the flames, turning the furnace into a sanctuary. Outside, the king leapt to his feet. "Did we not throw 3 into the fire?" he cried. "But look, I see 4, unbound, unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods." The crowd gasped. Soldiers fell to their knees. The fire did no harm. The miracle unfolded before the eyes of an empire. Nebuchadnezzar stepped forward, shielding his face from the heat as he shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out." And from the flames they walked, their clothes unburned, their skin untouched, not even the faint smell of smoke on them. The king, the officials, the governors, everyone gathered around them in awe. Nebuchadnezzar's voice trembled. "Blessed be the God who sent his angel to rescue his servants. They trusted him and defied my command. No other God can save like this." The boys were promoted to places of even greater honor, but more importantly, through their courage, an entire kingdom witnessed the power of the living God. That night, Babylon was changed. The story of the miracle spread through the streets like wildfire. Families whispered it at dinner tables. Merchants shared it in the markets. Travelers carried it to distant lands. Daniel met his friends under the quiet glow of torchlight. He embraced them, tears glistening in his eyes. "You are not alone," he said softly. Shadrach nodded. Meshach exhaled deeply. Abednego smiled, a quiet, grateful smile. "No," he whispered, "we never were." They looked up at the night sky, stars glittering like promises, and understood something deeper than fear or fire. Faith does not always remove the flames, but it guarantees you never walk through them alone. Years passed, but the story lived on. Parents told it to their children. Teachers shared it with their students. Priests told it in temples and synagogues. It became a symbol of courage, a lesson in faith, a reminder that miracles are not forged in comfort, but in fire. And so the tale of 4 boys, 3 who walked through flames, and 1 who never left their side, became one of the greatest stories of hope ever told. A story of boldness, of loyalty, of a God who rescues in the most impossible moments. A story that still whispers across centuries.